Okay, so we will start in a few minutes. Okay, so please, speakers can know about your order. So the Alex, Manuel, Praveen, and Sarah and Vincent will be the hour. And then after, actually, the Jorden will explain about your schedule in the next part. Okay, so in a few minutes, we'll start. Okay, so please, Alex, prepare to your first presentation. Okay, okay, we'll start in a few minutes.
I'll also say just briefly that I think this is a pretty exciting event from the point of view, like what Alex initially mentioned, that if you're reading about the metaverse these days, much of what is written about the metaverse is around maybe 5 or 6 companies. And so, you know, if you're active and, you know, keeping track, there's not really that many companies. That are covered in the press. There's actually hundreds, and it's a very global phenomena. And there's companies in all kinds of different segments of the metaverse. And so I think this is going to be a real eye-opener for many people because of not only the fact that there's quite a few more companies than everybody reads about, but also because there are so many different types of metaverse companies. And they're global, you know, they're in Europe, they're in Asia, they're across the US. And so we're very excited.
Okay, it's almost time. Okay, so I will start the first presentation part. So the first presentation will be the CEO of the Spatial port. Alex, would you please
Hi, everyone.
go ahead?
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm going to start. So thank you very much to the organizer to invite me today to present Spatial port among this amazing lineup of companies. I'll introduce myself briefly. I'm Alex Bellesia, the CEO of Spatial port. I started working in the AR and VR field more or less 7 years ago. For an AR and VR studio, which were creating solutions for multinational companies within the field of immersive technologies. And after the pandemic, both I and my co-founder, Scott Fackard, we decided to build Spatial port. Spatial port has the mission to democratize the creation of 3D immersive spaces. Why? Basically, because we saw a huge pain point while working with multinational companies and also mid-size companies, the cost to create 3D immersive spaces. That's why we decided to start Spatial port. Spatial port is based in Silicon Valley, and we are here to basically innovate how people will shop in the metaverse. So one thing that we are trying to accomplish is, let's say, a tool for brands and creators of any size to sell physical products and collectibles within a 3D immersive environment. But before we dive into that, I'd love to talk a little bit more about how we are right now shopping online. As you can see, here we have 2 websites of 2 famous brands, Dolce & Gabbana and Prada, and you can't really tell what's their difference in their websites. They're pretty boring, I would say, at first glance, and you can't really interact with products. So at Spatial port, we believe it's arrived the time to innovate how people shop online, because there are out there a lot of technologies that can enrich the final user experience for shoppers. So let's take a quick look at how at what are these technologies that can enrich the user experience. So first of all, augmented reality. I guess many of you know augmented reality, but basically it's a technology that superimposes objects around us, and augmented reality for shopping can enrich the user experience because people can try on themselves clothing pieces or eventually place objects within their homes. For example, they can try furniture. So why not leveraging this within the e-commerce platform that we are using every day? Another technology is 3D and VR. It has been out there for a lot of time, but we believe has not been used enough to gamify the experience and make it more look like how we do it today and go even beyond that. Another technology is AI, is already used in e-commerce websites, although within 3D immersive experience, we can build environments that shape based on the profile of the user that is visiting a space. So a really customized experience. Last but not least, a blockchain. Blockchain can be used for a lot of things, among them to track products, to prove the authenticity of products. And last but not least, we all know NFTs, for example, and these are going to become a product of the future that will be exchanged enormously. So let's take a look at how we feel it's going to be the future of e-commerce. So this is a template store that we built. As you can see, you have both images, videos, and 3D products. So it's not like the other websites where you just have flat images, but you can actually go inside and discover new products by yourself. These products are interactive because basically are in 3D, so you can interact with them through your smartphone. And as you can see here in our platform, you have the button to activate the augmented reality feature because you can actually wear the products. So here are some examples of people all around the world that used our filter and our NFT, our wearable NFT, because the watch that you just saw is a wearable NFT, and tested that on themselves. So it was very fun and engaging. A lot of people loved it. How actually it works? So how can a brand build their own 3D store? So basically, we help brands in the customization of their environment by selecting the design, the materials, the videos, and the images to have a good look and feel of their environment, to let the personality of the brand to speak, because it's much more immersive than a 2D flat page of a website. Second step, we need to create a list of products that these brands want to sell in the metaverse. We can either connect with the API of the CMS of the e-commerce website, or start from a brand new list with the list of media, the name and the description of every product that will be appearing in the 3D space. Then we need to create the 3D files of the products if the brand doesn't have that, and we can help and support brand in doing that. And we are ready to go to sell in the metaverse. I am gonna end this presentation with a short gameplay of the environment that we are currently building and populating. So I will show you only our store for confidentiality reasons, but all the stores that you see in gray right now are for rent, while the others are already populated. So we're building this city where everybody will be able to enjoy an immersive e-commerce experience. The platform is going to be available for any device. So PC, smartphone, tablets, and also head-mounted displays. There will be both art exhibitions and products to be bought. So there will be NFTs, digital products, and real products sold in the environment.
Alex, it looks like there's a couple of questions.
Yes, so I can stop here the gameplay just a sec, because I basically finished. So thank you very much, guys, for the attention. If you have any questions, please go ahead. So are they in the chat? Let me see. Okay.
There's one.
Yes. Okay.
It's about the SDKs.
Do you want me to help?
Okay.
Out?
Yes. No. I just read the question. So will Spatial Port have SDKs to implement this functionality? If so, will be Unity, Unreal, or Web? So what we'll be developing is an interface. So what the final user and the brand can interact with is an interface that is going to work on the web. While the end user, so the purchaser, will need to install our app to access to these 3D environments. Another question is, how does checkout, payments, and delivery address done for physical products being sold? How do you track order for customers in phone app delivered by third-party logistics? So how we are going to collaborate is through APIs. So every brand that will sell products in our platform already have a CMS that manages the delivery of their products. So we can implement basically the APIs to have a seamless experience where when you receive an order from the 3D platform, it goes directly to the CMS that a brand is currently using. Content management system. So CMS is a content management system like Magento, Shopify, and many others that are used to sell products on the web. So As per the SDK, how we're supporting brand to join the metaverse is basically through a configurator that works online. So you don't need an SDK to do that. But we'll need your APIs to connect to your CMS in order to have a flawless experience for the end user. Spatial Port is not open yet. We are launching in 2 months. In fact, this is a great question. So we're launching in 2 months, where we'll be presenting both retail products and fine art NFTs. There will be, yes, the possibility for the final user to pay both in crypto and through credit card.
Okay, so we are almost time. So if you have any further question, then you keep writing your question in the chat window, and then Alex will give you answers through the chat window, right? Okay,
Absolutely.
so thank you,
Thank
Alex.
you.
That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay, so next is Emanuele. It will be another fantastic one. So Emanuele at the Shin software will start in a minute. Chris, ready to go?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so
you can go ahead. Yeah.
Thanks everybody. Thanks for having invited me and my company. I am Emanuele Zinna. I am the head of marketing of Shin Software. We start working in the 3D real-time ecosystem since 2011, even if our company depends its root in the video game industry. So I would like to share with you my experience of the past 3 years and how the ecosystem of Metaverse 3D real-time is evolving. So let's start. Well, 2020 represented a year that radically changed our lives, everybody all over the world. Out of the blue, in few weeks, companies and managers have simply lost their traditional market tool and certainties. In few weeks, many worldwide well-known events, trade exhibition that be firstly postponed and suppressed, and national lockdowns, content forbidden, isolation, social distancing, all this one were just an example about what we had to face out of the blue. Well, during 2020, most of our daily tasks switched from physical to digital, with the result that companies and managers had to identify new ways to present products and to engage a customer audience who literally felt abandoned and frustrated by the absence of any satisfying customer experience. So a first relevant changing phase has started. I noticed it because before the pandemic issues, when I had the opportunity to make speech about real-time 3D interactive and the benefits of this kind of technology, a huge number of companies consider my work something close to video games, science fiction, nice to have, but maybe in the future option. So basically the answer was no thanks. But I can assure you that this perception has radically changed in the past year. Nowadays, in fact, thanks also to the positive effect of well-knowing big market player actions such as Meta, Nvidia, Unreal, Epic, companies do not like at real-time 3D as mumbo jumbo anymore. They know that real-time 3D interacting can provide them solid tools for an effective remote audience engagement. It has become a must-have tool, so the attitude has changed from the previous no thanks to yes, please, tell me more. I personally consider real-time 3D interactive as a fluid. It's a kind of clay that has to be shaped accordingly to companies' need and strategy, and the digital twins are the substance of this clay. So what exactly a digital twin? What is the definition of digital twin? It is a digital replica of a living or non-living object. It's not just a mere reproduction. It's a clone that looks, acts, and reacts as the original one. Or in case of virtual prototyping or in product configurators, where the digital twin is then, it is an outcome of a process as it would look, act, and react. But how can we create a digital twin for Metaverse? Because we are talking about Metaverse now. Well, since we're talking about real-time 3D interactive technology, the 3D files are the bedrock on which build the digital twin construction process. It's clear then that some companies, for example, many of those in the manufacturing industry, already have their tool in the 3D files as an output of product design software. In this case, to the geometry of the shape, we have to add the virtual material, which is made by stratified layer of information for a perfect photorealistic quality and a true look and feel perception. And then a rule-based engine will manage, check, and process every interaction, behavior, and configuration with data-driven approach. But unfortunately, as Alex has already said, other companies do not have a 3D file as a starting point of a product lifecycle due to many reasons: traditional or manual prototyping, lack of 3D skills, competencies, or simply opposition to digital innovation. In this case, we have to adopt a reverse engineering approach, and starting from a physical, we have to achieve the digital. At first, we have to digitize the geometries and material, and then we will combine them, exploiting the data-driven rule-based engine to generate a fulfilling digital experience. In both cases, the native or the reverse engineering approach, the aim is to fill a digital model library app that will open the Metaverse's gate. And that's why we created Show in 3D, a content management and application building platform for Metaverse, able to replicate any product, process, or environment without editing a single line of code, and transform a cold 3D CAD file into an expressive, engaging, and emotional real-time application that can be used in any Metaverse platform, or, as we'll see in just a few seconds, a company can generate its own Metaverse area. So the process is really easy. The user can import the 3D files and upload data from several different sources, such as text files, images, values from price lists, SIP, can import, generate, and display PDFs, videos, and images as well, and can also acquire configuration and rules for a single, simple spreadsheet. So then all the information are going to be edited and processed by the platform, on the platform by the user, with a video authoring tool, with a what you see is what you get approach. So no code. It's totally codeless. You don't have to be a ninja coder to create a real-time 3D application. Then, once we have this digital twin repository available, we are ready to deploy the contents in a metaverse, clustering the experience according to the company strategy: digital product showing, tools for marketing and sales as product configurator, virtual try-on, try before buy experiences, application for training, education, and even post-sales assistance. So what is clear and certain are the 4 pillars that make Show in 3D a cutting-edge tool. It's scalable, because after having created a 3D interactive application, the experience can be extended to the entire product collection, from a single product to a digital warehouse. It's multiverse, in the meaning that a real-time 3D application can be exported in a metaverse, or, as I said, a company can generate its own metaverse. It's cross-platform. The same experience is seamlessly available for iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, but also WebGL, immersive virtual reality, augmented reality, still without editing a specific version of the application. And of course, is 100% data-driven. The platform can autonomously manage very, very complex configuration rules using multiple variables and different sources. So in Shin software, we know that a picture worth 1,000 words, but we used to say that an experience is worth 1,000 pictures as well. I'm going to change the, I'm going to share a live demo here. I hope that you are able to see it. In this case, it's quite easy, right? It's a watch, very nice watch, luxury watch, I mean, but the interesting fact is the aspect that we have connected to a static 3D model, static in the meaning that it's a closed, it's a cold 3D CAD file. We are connected and interactive of an external source of information. In this case, the watch, as you can see over here, is still working. It's working because it's showing the client's time zone. So in this case, I am in Italy, in Central Europe time. So as you can see over here, the watch is working. Of course, I'm able to switch from different product configuration. I can get close to appreciate the details because the photorealistic quality of material is close to be mandatory in fashion, jewelry, interior designer, home furniture. And then I can play over here, but I may be able to generate an automatic video, but in real time, because as you can see over here, my hands are over and the watch is still working while the system is creating this video. And this very powerful tool, even for batch render video creation. As you can see, there are a lot of camera movements, a sequence of camera movements to appreciate the quality of the product. And then, of course, I am able to place this product in augmented reality, or in case of a large environment or a digital store as the one that I'm going to share with you right now, I may be able to use the virtual reality, the immersive virtual reality. In this case, I hope so that, yes. As you can see over here, we have an environment with some shelves over here. There are some shoes. There are, of course, I'm able to navigate from an area to another one. But in this shelf, I may able to click on the product and appreciate the quality of this product. And then, of course, I can add other information such as prices, an action, a call to action, put in a basket, purchase it, or create animation to see and customize the product. Or I can navigate through pre-customized products as well. So in this case, there are different kind of products. But if I go closer over here, you can really appreciate the quality, the details of the leather, and so on. While, of course, I can go back and I can move across my store in a virtual reality. So in order to avoid motion sickness with virtual reality, we strongly recommend the teleport function. And so clicking over here, I'm in another side of the store department. I can click on the model, and over here, I'm able to appreciate, rotate, interact with another kind of product as well. But the customization, then I know that my time is going to be end. Last thing I would like to share with you is a further step of customization. In these things, in this environment, which is a more complex showroom, I'm able to move in the space. I can appreciate a different point of view, but if I want, I can use automatic camera movement to be to restore the view, for example. I can interact with the product. I can call for different products as well. And everything has been done codeless. And I may be able also to change and interact with the light setting to maybe create a spatial effect and a more engaging, for example, an unveiling product experience. So basically,
yeah, thank you.
This is showing 3D.
Yeah, could you look at the chat window? There are several questions for you.
Yeah, sure. Just a second that I'm sharing my experience on 2 different screens. Yeah. Oh, yes, it's here. Where is the chat? Oh, sorry. I'm struggling with the
Let
I
me
think that
help
there are
you.
several about like a comment about actually the old like
Oh yeah,
you know,
here.
the
Sorry.
fantastic.
Yeah, I had to stop the screen sharing, otherwise I'm not able to see. Sorry, the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
here they
left
are.
1 minute, so if you have any question, then
Okay, the minimum requirement from the users. Well, there's not a minimum requirement from the users because the system automatically creates the subset in order to spread the same experience accordingly to the computational power of the client. I'm pressing demo. Respect, Derek. Thanks a lot. Should we have a video record catalog product? Of course you can. Yes, yes. Please drop me a line via email. I'd be more than glad to give you a lot of video example, and then we can also go in depth with any kind of technical questions.
yeah.
Take a
And then
demo, of
also
course.
you can have a question through the chat window, and then you can communicate with the audience. And the audience, if audience have questions specifically to the like Emanuele, and then you can left your question to Emanuele, and then he
Yeah.
personally answer for that. Okay, so it's time.
Thanks for your
So
time.
thank
I
you.
got muted.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic 3D and digital twin. Yeah, it's really we need in the metaverse, right?
But at the end of the day, we are here to exploit any kind of opportunities that this special moment is offering to our companies together.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Okay, so next is Praveen at Exxar. So please let it go. Okay, you can
Hi,
start.
good morning. Can you hear me, Alex?
Yes,
Okay,
you
excellent.
can go ahead.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. This is Praveen, and I'm the founder of a company called Exxar. Exxar as a company, we are primarily into the virtual and augmented reality space, and now working towards building the industrial metaverse. This talk, I'm not going to try and define what the metaverse should be or what the industrial metaverse should be. I think the key purpose of my talk here is to talk about the evolutions that have happened over the last few years, and share my experiences of working with various industrial sector users and companies where we have brought about innovations for their different processes. And what I do believe that many of those concepts would help us build in the future, whatever the industrial metaverse going to be, right? But I think a lot of the concepts that we are working on are extremely close to the approach of building a metaverse. Of course, we are about 2.5 years old, based in the Silicon Valley. We are partners with Microsoft, Oculus, Plug and Play Japan, and a couple of other organizations. And we primarily work in the industrial space as a company. So before I dive into the metaverse specific points here, my approach is again from an engineering perspective. What are the key challenges that the industrial sector faces, and how can we help them, right? And this is what I've been doing all my career as part of Exxar and my previous business. What are the industrial challenges that we are looking at? So when we look at a factory or industrial enterprise, there is a typical life cycle that the industry follows, where you start with engineering. You want to set up a factory, you bring in design teams, engineering teams who are going to design the factory, and subsequently you're going to hand over the design to a construction team or the project team, which is going to go and do the construction of the factory. Subsequently, the factory is handed over to operations teams, where the workers and supervisors will come in to execute and operate the factory. And finally, if required, there are maintenance teams who are involved, for upkeep of the plant. Now, when we look at the engineering teams, typically they have some crazy challenges around customer collaboration, right? Most of the engineering teams, they are doing the complete design and modeling in 3D using CAD and BIM software. Slightly different from what Emanuele referred to, but these are typically industrial tools which are very popular in the sector. But there is no very good way for designers to collaborate with customers or even with construction team members on validating their designs. Right? When we look at the construction, everything downstream after engineering is typically either non-digital or 2D at the maximum. Construction members typically will have a paper drawing which already throws away a lot of the information that was created by the engineering team. And this leads to a lot of challenges on the site, like clashes, and finally into rework that delays a lot of construction projects. Of course, finally, when you look at operations, and this is something that's been talked about a lot in the media, is the need for training to have skilled factory workers and technical support for these workers, from domain experts. When I talk about maintenance, this is where there is a factory which is already in operation, but had a breakdown. There is a huge cost of downtime of factories. And typically, the documentation available to maintenance engineers can be either complex or non-existent in many cases. So when we look at these challenges, and how to address them to give a uniform environment, what we feel is that there has been a lack of a common information environment throughout the industrial enterprise. And this is the problem that we started addressing a few years back. And this was the motivation behind building Exxar as a technology. So towards the rest of my presentation, I'm going to talk about some of the blocks that we have built, which we believe can be a very core fundamental part of the industrial metaverse, right? So when we look at these challenges, what exactly does it mean from a technology standpoint, right? So what really required to solve some of these problems that we are looking at? So of course we have physical assets, just like Emanuele and Alex referred to. And so the first effort is almost always to digitize them, right? And have potentially be able to store them on a cloud platform or some other storage platform. But when we talk about a factory environment, which is a living, breathing environment, right? There is need for synchronization between what's happening in the field. And this is where typically industrial IoT comes to help. And you make a digital replica, which Emanuele, of course, talked about as a digital twin of the physical environment. But when we look at digital twin, of course, there's a lot of other potential elements. There could be AI that makes it an even more intelligent model, and potentially other specific aspects. So now that you have a digital representation of your enterprise, of your industry, right? This is when you can start solving very, very interesting problems that we saw, previously. So for example, a designer could simply hop on, put on a VR headset, right? Pull the digital version of the model that he has designed in virtual reality. But not just that, he could also pull in the construction supervisor to help him understand exactly what the model is going to be like and what the final factory is supposed to be like, right? And address his challenges. Also, a project manager could jump into the call, again, just using VR headsets, be able to literally walk inside the factory even before it's built, right? So that's a very, very interesting use case of what we would call the industrial metaverse. And this is something that we set out to solve, and it's already part of our platform. Now, once you have this platform and you have this beautiful digital environment, the same exact content and environment can then be brought over to the field teams, right? And so we have partners who are building what are called connected worker applications, where the construction supervisor can simply take an iPad or a HoloLens, right, and have the complete 3D model available on the construction site. Imagine creating a plant, a complex plant like that with a piece of 2D drawing, right? Which is what people have been doing over the ages, right? But then the transformation that happens when they are able to do this, get access to the complete information on their fingertips on a device like an iPad, is a complete game changer. And then the same exact content is then also available for maintenance engineers who can then use a HoloLens or again an iPad or a device like that to get their complete work instructions overlaid on top of the factory floor, right? So that they can do the maintenance activity in a much faster manner without any errors. So the point I'm trying to make here is that when we look at the industrial metaverse or the industrial environment that we're talking about building here, the same environment can be used for different kinds of use cases. And this is where the whole thought around building an industrial metaverse around that starts, right? So at Exxar, we believe that what we need to do is we start building everything in a piece by piece manner. So over the last few years, we have already built quite a few models, quite a few modules in this technology. This is actually a product that's already in the market. It's already been in the market for the last 2 years, deployed at various industrial sites and industrial users. And the product and the platform has been evolving over the last couple of years based on additional user feedback, as well as developer feedback, because we allow developers to use our platform to build custom applications. And I'm going to talk about that in the subsequent part of my talk. On the face of it, of course, it seems like a very, very amazing concept. But then what are the technology barriers that prevent something like this from happening? So one of the things clearly is that the technology stack is extremely siloed. Whether you look at the 3D content that's available from CAD or BIM models, or you look at the IIoT infrastructures, a lot of the technology stacks are very siloed, and there aren't very many standard tools and workflows. Secondly, digitization is extremely costly. A lot of 3D scanning for factory environments, which could be spanning hundreds and thousands of or even millions of square feet, right? Digitization can be really costly and time consuming. But when you look at engineering models, right, like BIM models or CAD models for the factories that were used during engineering, almost all of the data formats are logged in proprietary formats. Converting them to sort of open standards is something that has not been a solved problem over the past. Of course, finally, data security is an extremely critical area when you talk about industrial applications. Some of the models and some of the data can be extremely large. So the technology and the platform has to be able to address things of that sort. So these are the key technology barriers that we looked at when building our platform. And the first thing that we thought was that how do we bring in a virtual model? How do we build these virtual environments from existing content? So instead of having to go to the field, scan 3D models and convert them into sort of these interactive models, how about enabling existing content? And we realized that there is a substantial number of industrial enterprises who already had data in formats which are in CAD formats or in BIM models, right? So one of the core pieces of intellectual property that we built was around translating these models automatically without any data loss into a cloud-enabled standard format that can then be brought into a augmented reality or virtual reality environment. So this is what we call XR Stream, which is a completely automatic and a completely lossless data translator that connects to CAD applications, BIM applications, and brings that content into a VR AR environment. So that brings me to the other building blocks that we have as part of the XR stack. Of course, the whole environment of being able to bring in lossless 3D models directly into this cloud environment, into this, so to speak, industrial metaverse environment. In addition to that, what we have also done is we have provided cloud-enabled APIs for developers, which allows them to build their own custom applications or to add capabilities like AI. So we have people who are using Azure AI as well as Azure IoT to connect to XR platform and build other custom applications on top of the base platform. Then what we have done is we have created optimized native XR clients, which are able to load huge 3D models and huge 3D assemblies and be able to visualize them in that particular environment. So when you talk about Oculus Quest, we have a native Oculus Quest app available on the store, or a native iOS app, or a native HoloLens app. Of course, we have then enabled our partners and developers to build use case specific applications, whether it is for design reviews or for connected worker kind of applications. Many of these are built by partners. And I'll be very happy to talk to other folks here who would be interested in evaluating our platform. Lastly, the complete cloud platform is a secure cloud platform that's hosted by AWS, Azure, and for some of our industrial customers, we also do an on-prem deployment, which is capable of streaming data in a very, very smart manner to clients. And then there's a Zoom-like interface that allows any user to simply jump on a call like this from their VR headset or from their AR device. So that sort of allows multiple users to come together inside this industrial metaverse environment for various use cases, whether it's training, whether it's production, whether it's operations. So this is a very, very high level. Yeah, thanks, Alex. I'm just finishing. So yeah, this is sort of just high level thoughts around what I think it would take to build an industrial metaverse. And I'll be happy to chat with people if there are any questions. Glad to answer them now or maybe offline, Alex.
Yeah, so you can check the several questions in the chat window, and then you can personally give an answer after the because we are in time. So okay, so Sarah, why don't you?
Thank you so much, Alex.
Start to go.
Enjoy talking to you guys.
Yeah, it's very fantastic for the industrial metaverse. Sarah.
Sorry, there, I was on mute. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You can go ahead.
All right, great. Hold on a second here. All right, awesome. So simply put, we are building a metaverse that is cloud native, high definition, and DAO driven. So what does this look like? What makes this possible? This is one of our product demos here. As they say every once in a while, revolutionary technology comes along that changes everything. And one of those innovations for us is the power of cloud rendering. At first glance, it might seem like we're doing something, building, a metaverse similar to Sandbox or Second Life, but we believe we are building something even better. And why? I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. It's really hard to hear. Mostly because we are cloud native. All our content is rendered on the cloud, and this allows us to achieve two important fundamental qualities of what we think is a real metaverse, and that is real-time and persistent. So we use a proprietary cloud rendering system that can be deployed on either public or private clouds to do all the heavy lifting and stream to users, similar to cloud gaming like Satija. And we solve for two bottlenecks. One, that consumer devices are still unable to render 3D content in real time effectively. And two, virtual 3D asset creation is complex and costly. And
Sarah, nobody can hear you when you've got your PC audio playing.
Oh, sorry, no one can hear that? Okay. Maybe I'll just run through that really, really fast again. So our innovation fundamentally is in cloud rendering. And it might seem at first glance like we're similar to Sandbox and Second Life in some respects, but we believe we're building something even better. Firstly, because we are cloud native. And so all of the content is rendered on the cloud. And this allows us to achieve two important qualities of what we think a real metaverse must have, which is real time and persistent. So we use a proprietary cloud rendering system that can be deployed on either public or private clouds to do all the heavy lifting and stream to users, similar to Google cloud gaming like Google Stadia. But we also solve for two bottlenecks, which is that consumer devices are unable to render 3D content in real time effectively. And secondly, that virtual 3D asset creation is complex and costly. And so it is through this cloud native cloud rendering technology that high definition and ultra realistic graphics can be achieved in real time, including things such as achieving real-time ray tracing. We're able to attain 4K 60 hertz on any devices, whether it's an iPhone or a laptop. And because we're cloud native, anyone, anytime around the world can access simply through in-browser. So that's no apps, no downloads. As long as you have internet connection, you can enter Matterverse. And of course, no extra hardware or headsets required. And so today I'm going to talk mostly about the three components of our product and platform. But before that, we just want to touch on the essence of what we're building here at Matterverse, which is centered around two concepts. First, we think is a transcendence of reality. The roots of the word come from transform and to ascend. And we've heard of the concept digital twins and virtual replicas. But we think that if we build just the same things as we do in the real world, it can be a bit boring. And so we want to go beyond and build and create that which is not possible in the real world with its material and physical limits to truly go beyond. And then what is Web3? Here we think it's built in public and defined by the community. So some of our early Web3 community members actually include people that have careers in creative design, architecture, and other design fields in real life. And together we give this growing community and anyone in the Web3 community the tools and ability to build this ever expanding world. And our aim is to combine, in some ways, the best parts of sandboxes and games akin to GTA Online. And what we mean by that is, well, Sandbox is one of the best implementations of community-defined and generated content in a Web3 context. It's highly stylized, some might joke Legoland looking still, with very limited gameplay possibilities. And then we have Roblox, which has more gameplay, but the visuals are even rougher. And then GTA Online is an awesome game, but it is just a game where the player has no ownership or agency in the world, and you can't control how you play or what you could experience. And so one of our end goals is inspired by this to have the best of both worlds, a world that feels authentic, plays well, is yours, and incorporates agency and ownership through things such as tokenomics and community-driven DAOs, to determine the functionalities and even the scene and design and more. So we are building an open world defined and created by the Metaverse community. Currently, this is just to start. We have 5 zones with seamless movement and transport, not multiple separate worlds, but a seamless, ever expanding world with land parcels secured and exchanged through NFTs. We have an extremely detailed white paper on tokenomics, which we invite you to have a read if you're interested in something like that. And yeah, diving into, this is kind of how we go about turning concept art into areas under construction. But diving into the first of our 3 components, first we have an avatar creator. So we're aiming to build the highest fidelity and functionality avatar system. And so far we've enabled it into an API SDK cross-platform support, which means not only can you use it on our platform, but it can be used across other platforms. One could even individually create their own unique avatar and mint it into an NFT, not only in 2D, but in 3D, and use it across other platforms and share it, including on social media. We have virtually unlimited customizations, and we're aiming to have an ever-expanding number of parameters so that no 2 avatars are the same. We also have something called the Matter Creator. As we've previously mentioned, we're all about allowing the community to build. And for those that do not use things such as Blender or 3D Maya or don't know how to use them, it's still possible to build and create through drag and drop, and essentially our in-house 3D, what we call a matter creator currently. Lastly, we've provided a place to initiate and organize DAOs for your hobbies, projects, or even for brand partnerships. Many brands are entering this Web3 space, and we're still in the early days, but it's really exciting, and there's a lot more details in our white paper. So some of the use cases for brands are quite self-explanatory. It's a really exciting space. And we also were shortlisted this year for the LVMH Innovation Award after partnering with LVMH Asia on a virtual museum project. And finally, here we have a rough preview of what this could look like. All put together, the three components. Now, for extra context, our product team sent this over, and it's a bit goofy. So we like to call it man running late for work and stops for luxury picnic. But what we're trying to really show here and highlight is that the high fidelity details are enabled by cloud rendering. Because it is a cloud native platform, that's how you get the high definition in real time. You can drag and drop, and we have an extensive 3D assets library that we're building up constantly, and integrating AI for PBR textures and the such, and that is pretty much a brief overview of what we're building at Matterverse. So yeah, if you have any questions or comments, happy to take them. I can also just check out the chat because I think I have a few minutes left.
Sarah, thank you. I have a question. Why make your company name as a Metaverse? I was very curious about the name.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Funny story. So we registered our company name in September 2021. And then about a month later, Facebook came out with the news that it was going to rebrand as Meta. But we had been in the space of virtual and 3D for about a year before that. And the name came from our chief product officer. So the rest of the team just jumped on it and really liked it. That's kind of a coincidence in a way.
Oh, I see. Because I just assumed that because I'm that the three components of the Metaverse, actually the time and the space and matter. So I'm thinking about your company are more focused on matter.
Right. That's true. It could be a bit misleading.
I see.
And how do I exit?
Okay, so is there any other question? Yeah, there are several to you.
Okay, let's see. Yes, Web3. Is this similar to Decentraland, a metaverse platform? Right, so Decentraland and Sandbox, they're mostly built on WebGL, whereas we are fully cloud native. That's one of the key differentiators and differences. There's a couple more, whereas Decentraland is very much entrenched in tokenomics and crypto. And we think that Metaverse doesn't necessarily have to be governed by crypto in such a huge way. There's a lot of other applications, but the biggest difference is WebGL and cloud native. High quality rendering minted as an NFT that can be used. Yeah. Is the platform available yet? Not yet. We are also about 2 months away from launching the open world. How many users? How much does the cloud computing? So cloud computing for brands, that one, if you're really curious, I can follow up with that with our chief product officer. That's more on the cloud end. So is always selling real merchandise also via this platform. So I don't think we can, I think it's still a bit confidential at the moment, but happy to follow up. You're sitting the tribe. Okay, awesome. Thank you for that link, Laura. So someone's going to see. All right, I think that's most of them.
Oh yeah.
Let me know
if I'm fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, happy to chat or shoot me an email or LinkedIn or anything. We're really excited to be launching the open world.
Yeah, and then also give the question to the chat window, and then Sarah will give an answer personally. So please go ahead. Thank you, Sarah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so now we are our final innovators to present of this part 1. Vincent, would you please ready to go? Yeah. Basically, okay. he is in New Zealand, so I'm curious about what's the weather like in New Zealand now. It's a fantastic, right?
Yeah, fantastic in New Zealand.
Yeah, I've been there one time. Was very beautiful.
Yeah,
I couldn't forget. In the future, we have the Matterverse New Zealand tour, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you can go ahead now.
Yeah. Hello everyone. I'm CEO of the Globaliz. My name is Vincent Sim, and I'm interested in the MetaCubic platform. And MetaCubic is a digital channel metaverse content solution, which is a smart hybrid store or social metaverse network platform. You can see the logo, and looks like a search engine, something in every content in every city, every building in there, and you can go in anywhere in the MetaCubic platform. This kind of thing is a point to is simply MetaCubic is to set up to localize, personalize search engine for Metaverse, allowing all worldwide Metaverse objects to be distributed and integrate. Therefore, MetaCubic platform is a mission is to eventually transform to ecosystem that support to virtual space content while linking to internet and real world information with the Metaverse virtual space. Something in the weekend we have already the project in Seoul, and you can see the real address, the ENC Dream Building. You can that address ENC Dream Building, Kurogu, Seoul. This is a real address, but by the MetaCubic to slide to internet address. ENC Dream Building is going to encdream.com, and Kurogu and going to allsvalley.com, and also Seoul and allinseoul.net is their hierarchical base to allinseoul.net include allsvalley.com or the encdream.com as well. That kind of building information, the one floor, second floor, third floor information including in there. Also that building information going to allsvalley.com or the Kurogu, and also that information going to the Seoul as well. It's many things to the content metaverse that are hardly the connection to the world, the city, and the real world address, but we have a solution. Also, our solution content information through the metaverse virtual space through the internet domain over the cloud. If MetaCubic platform over the building domain is offline, information on each floor of a building For example, resident company, shopping mall is everything in the create by managing the MetaQubic. This automatically show up to parent local domain and city domain as well. You can see this is Seoul, Gurogu, ES Dream building. One of the customer then put the information, they showing the Gurogu Metaverse platform and Seoul the domain as well. That Metaverse virtual space can by link to the real world. Real world already there's the ENC Dream building in the building is including information, and also you can see the extension all over the object and can be so many domain to the multiple multi-dimension and relationship internet through the MetaQubic. This is a conceptual the diagram, but you can think about anything. You can make it internet of thing, and can showing to Metaverse only making domain. That's it. And you can see the Metaverse content to input their domain, and also see that their customer mobile phone. They can see the organized to, if you can see like some kind of the product information, see the domain, different domain can including the hierarchical, the relationship base. Also, MetaQubic structure is a very the revolution in the already the Web 2.0. Everybody know that, and also some in the maybe you can see the decentralized internet web is like our web, like some kind of A, B, C, D. This is the Gurogu building including in that pin, and this is YWXZ. This is Gangnam-gu, some in Seoul, and some kind of building you can see the imaging the all over the Seoul, the Metaverse connection together. This is a MetaQubic platform. I will show you demo. This is Auckland platform, and including some information in there. You can see the art gallery. You can see the Auckland gallery in the showing. the information in the Auckland, all of the theater, restaurant, everything, hotel, can showing this Metaverse platform. This is Seoul in the ENC Dream building. This building domain connected digital twin solution and everything connect. I will show you the building domain into the ENC building. This is the ENC building into the one level. You can see the two level in information to the Tsing and the restaurant, and showing to this image can also price and the background as well. That connection to the Old Valley, the Kurogu, in the building in the ENC Dream Tower, the level 2 as well. See the same information, getting the view map and everything, including information for the Metaverse, the pricing, the background, everything. Even the Seoul information showing to Kurogu, the ENC Dream 7, the jumping in here, also the view map as the pricing, everything. Also showing the Auckland information to building the art gallery, and showing to for Metaverse can going art gallery to view map as well. That information hierarchically, Auckland City has the North Shore City and the Manukau City as well. The Manukau City together the Civic Theater, and same information the Metaverse as well. See the information you can get. Also the Manukau City, the North Shore City, North Shore City, and that Sky Tower can getting to same information. No, all those building and the same information, Manukau City, and showing to same information together. If we change the Manukau City, then automatically the going through the North Shore City, Auckland City, the changing automatically. That's the information that we can solution. If anything, you can make a Metaverse to input here, and every Auckland, every city can the sharing and the search things. Yeah. If any question to get the.
Yeah, here is one question that one question is that if this reference was entirely on Metaverse, whether actually they don't understand why you talk about in the real space building like domain connection and then Metaverse space. Yeah, that's one. because I talked with him a lot, because when I invited him, actually, he showed this one and then try to understand. Actually, the essence is that in the future that your metaverse world will be connected to your real world. And then what happened is that whatever you bid it, for example, you bid it in a metaverse building, for example, in the shopping mall in the metaverse, and actually they actually connect to the actual shopping mall in the real space. And then they know about your profile. And then whenever you bid it in the metaverse space, they will reflect to whatever actually in the real space. So for example, in the restaurant, and then they will present like a famous food for that restaurant to you in the metaverse. And then you can, for example, that you can have a like NFT for the like discount of the coupon. And then actually you can bid it to real restaurant. And also like if you like travel some place, and then through your smartphone, actually that they will provide some metaverse image that actually they introduce something in the location. So it is one still developing, but the essence was that, but it's some complex. That's what I have experienced. Okay, so thank you. So it's time. So thank you for everyone that it was a fantastic presentation. I thanks all 5 Metaverse innovators all over the world. Okay, so now I turn my like Lord to the Jorden. So why don't you, Jorden, you can start your presentation part.
Great, thanks, Alex. So that was an exciting set of companies. And now I know that everybody has been sitting for, an hour or so. So if you'd like to stand up, maybe we can take a 10 or 15-second break. And, just shake the arms and legs. Then I can get everybody kicked back off with another set of 5 companies which are changing and transforming the online experience. While everyone is stretching, what I'd like to do is just say quickly that what we've seen in the 5 companies is a pretty broad range. And so what I was mentioning at the very beginning is that the metaverse is much more than what the press has been telling us. What we can see is that there is an enormous range of possibilities. You can build tools for the metaverse. You can enable other people to build metaverses. We have fully decentralized metaverses. We have hybrid, some parts are centralized, some aspects are decentralized. We have, more centralized, metaverses that you can build where somebody owns everything in its entirety. We have high definition, metaverses. We have more cartoon oriented metaverses. We have, those that are focused on industry or on manufacturing. They're for businesses. It's something as a platform that you're going to sell to a particular kind of companies, for building factories or what have you, for doing maintenance on factories. We have those that are focused on shopping, right? They're not just about, socializing. They're really more about going out and shopping, buying things. It's kind of taking the e-commerce experience and moving it into 3 dimensions. So, that has, you've seen a lot of that in the first 5, and then the last one was more of kind of, what we've seen with Decentraland and also with the Sandbox, where you take cities and then you move them into the metaverse and you can buy land and things like this. So there's a lot of creativity, as you might imagine, because we're right at the very beginning of this metaverse experience. And so there's going to be just an explosion of innovation and different ideas. And what will happen over time is that, there will be kind of a standard that people will move towards, and then there will be a more, kind of standardized experience that we'll get used to so that it can go more mainstream. So that was great. Let me just share my screen quickly so that I can share with you the agenda that that we have for this session. So you can see that in part one, Alex, moderated the first 5 companies: Spatial, Shin Software, Exxar, Metaverse, and Globaliz. And now we'll have 5 more. We'll be starting with Rajat in just a moment. He's at Gamitronics. He's based in India, and he's got some pretty exciting things that he'll be showing you. We have Jim Mathewson at Near 8. And he is also kind of in this kind of online world, more of the event type of space. And Neeraj, he is at Lucrisma. He's very focused on kind of financial services for the metaverse. Michelle at Defintasy is again focused on these experiences, but it's a very decentralized type of an environment. And then Aditya at Spatial Digital Social, and it's also going to be in this kind of online shopping and more consumer oriented type of world. So with that, I'll stop sharing, and it would be great if Rajat, who is actually, like I mentioned, in India, so it's 11 p.m. for him. And so we really appreciate, Rajat, you taking the time and staying up late to share with us what you're doing with Party Night and other projects. So the floor is yours.
Thanks, Jordan. Absolutely my pleasure. And yeah, still some hours left in my day, so it's not too late for me. So it's absolutely okay.
Okay, wonderful.
I'll just share my screen. So you guys can see my screen now.
Yes,
right?
definitely.
Awesome. So yeah, so CEO at Gamitronics is kind of a past now. Everybody calls me chief builder at partynight.io now. So I'm like a real estate guy, the virtual digital real estate guy now. So yeah, but yeah, of course, I'm still the CEO at Gamitronics. I'm just going to talk about how brands can change everything with Metaverse, like everything, the entire logic, their how they were selling. That's going to be completely different now, and how we are helping them. So first, let me just, why I'm qualified to talk about it, at this moment, like, because I'm helping 100+ brands, right from the small ones to the biggest or the big ones. We are catering to them right now, and other than them, we are working with 7 government agencies, which are like tough nuts anyways. They don't get it easily, but they're getting it. Means my thought process is that like Metaverse has arrived, because they're understanding the impact, they're understanding where it's going, and the target audience is already there. So before I talk a little bit more, I'll just show you a glimpse of our Metaverse, which is basically a living, breathing city, which I call Utopia inside Party Night, where you can, let's just see it.
You can definitely see the gaming roots for party night.
So this is something what it's written half in Hindi and half in English. It says India's very own metaverse. So this is something what we've built. We have been building this since 2020, pretty much. In fact, there's an interesting story behind this that in 2014 we built something like this, and India is one of the largest private sector bank, and Microsoft took it, and it was live in Microsoft for 3 years, but then we tried to sell it to other people. They just didn't get it, why they needed something like that. Of course, it was not metaverse per se, it was telepresence, but people were not getting it. But it required a pandemic to, validate this whole thing. Now, one interesting story, all these 100 plus brands I'm talking about, not even a single brand we went to. All the brands came to us, so this is like completely, the tables have turned, everybody is understanding. Of course, there is a lot of hype after Mark Zuckerberg mentioned about it, and people are understanding the, capabilities, but there are serious use cases. And this is our proud, movement, which I want to show here. This was done with the Indian Space Agency and the state agency, where we launched NFTs inside an event. And this is the kind of drama which we can do, right? So if there's a space event, why that needs to be in a kind of conference hall, when it can happen in some sort of Star Wars, world, and with all those kind of jazz. Great. Few of the things which we are doing before I, go further and talk about how they can change. There are some serious car launches which are happening. And how is it going to be different? You can actually drive. Everybody gets to test drive the vehicle inside Metaverse, which is not possible in the real physical world. A 65,000 stores mall is getting opened. 65,000, where are you going to have it in the real physical world? So in fact, 70% of the shops are already taken in this, mall, which we are building inside our verse. Then there is a physical experience. That means you go to a store, you try jeans, you call your friends, you take their approval. How am I looking? It's fine, great. That you actually get to wear that in your virtual world, and one jeans actually gets delivered to your doorstep. And we partnered with one of the delivery operator in India, and we actually support fiat currency and crypto both. So we are not, because you never know how the crypto regulations are going to affect. So we wanted to keep our stand very clear there. Another thing which is happening, 24 screens theater is opening in our this thing. That's again a brand coming in, and opening this. Now this is going to be a theater. In India, cinema is a big thing, right? So most of the time they are like completely sold out. But these theaters are never going to get sold out, because we'll create multiple instances of these 24, and everybody gets to see whenever a movie gets launched, and of course, we created a space zone celebrating Indian achievement in space. Now, this is not a brand, but this is a brand creation exercise. An unfortunate part, which we spoke some time back, was like, again, understand NASA's contribution to the space overall, but even in India, people actually wear NASA's T-shirt and not Indian Space Organization's T-shirt, or they don't even understand what they have done. So this is a space where people will come, appreciate what India has contributed, and will create, kind of a, boosting thing that, we have done enough. And so this is an exercise which will actually lead, like people will start appreciating, and slowly we're trying to build a brand. So brand building is another thing which we are participating in, how they can change everything. So there are so many factors. I know probably 12. I'm just, because in the interest of time, I'll talk about 3 core things, participation, community, and real-time stats, and these things are, 3 things are good enough reason for any brand to join Metaverse right away, and so now this is interesting, Metaverse is not only transforming how we see the world, but how we participate. This is the keyword, how we participate. We are not just consuming, we are not being kind of, watching something on YouTube or on a billboard or something, and actually participating. And the day you participate in something, that becomes a memory for like forever, sort of. Again, this is the elaboration of the participation part. This is the key fundamental differentiator. It's not a unidirectional branding. It's absolutely bidirectional. You see billboards, your ads here, you see TV, you see ads there, you see newspaper ad there. But how do you actually get the metrics? How do you understand? Games, yes. If you create a game around any brand, yes, but you need to drive traffic to that game first. That itself is an exercise. While in Metaverse, there is an audience already, looking for newer content all the time. So the thing is that if I have 1 million people I call them my citizens, my population of my Metaverse, if they are moving around, that is a default access to the brand they'll get. Whenever something new comes, they know exactly what's happening. So I don't need to drive traffic, and especially when you are talking about Pepsi Run 3D, most of the people are coming because there is Pepsi, not other way around. In my world, it's my world where Pepsi shows up and people see it. So people are coming to my world, and that's the biggest differentiator. And as people drive different interests and stuff, the population keeps on increasing. I would love to have Indian equivalent population there. 1.7, it's a huge number, but and that's how the amount of people I can actually drive, and at the same time, have a lot of data about them. So one thing, when we do advertising or any brand, we follow the culture creators and replicators. Means like people who actually influencers talk about it, or word of mouth whales, as we call them in the game industry. People go out and talk about it. Now it's the time when we have to build experiences which can be used, remixed, and built upon. So people are creating, people are coming to my platform, building stores, building things, and they're going crazy. Like we are doing a fashion show, just like the Decentraland did, but here the artists can completely go crazy because they are not restricted to bipedals and all those kind of things. They can actually showcase their creativity in absolutely different manner, and that's what we are actually, helping them with. And this is exactly what we are trying to do when we are allowing people to build their own experiences inside this. So the retention of the brand remains, is a far longer lasting than anything else what has been done traditionally so far. And so this is again, continuing on the participation part, seeing versus engaging. You see a Coke poster, that's fine, but suddenly you see a floating Coke bottle, you hold it, you drink it, you feel refreshed, you see bubbles around it, right? So there is celebration of everything you're doing, right? Everything, instant gratification. You add a game to that, you add AR layer, or you don't want to do AR layer, but the thing is that you experience that brand. Now you'll remember, when I did that, I saw bubbles, or I got a bubble jacket or something like that, and that's an instant, a memory for you to have, and so this is what they did. Now, my interesting example is, and what I would like, Coke has already done, but Red Bull, like, very simple. Their punchline is always very simple. Gives you wings, right? Very attractive, very nice. But people who don't consume Red Bull, I still think it's not. They don't get it. what is in for them? Like, how do I get wings? What happens, you know? And probably people who are like, and there are so many people, and especially in a country like India, you know, caffeine is like, you know, is still coffee and nothing else, you know. And in so many other parts of the world also, right? So the messaging is great, but onboarding new users, I still have like, you know, my doubts, you know. So that's what changes in a metaverse. Imagine a Red Bull bottle over there, I drink it, and suddenly I start elevating. Rest of the people are walking, and I start floating around with a wing, you know, and that's what, like, you know, I suddenly get, you know, a bragging right that's what happened when I actually consume this drink. And I'll float for a while and then I'll land there. So there can be many use cases which can be created in metaverse, which will have much bigger and larger than life experiences for.
Hi there, Rajat. Rajat, this is really awesome. So thank you so much for sharing all those different experiences with us. We're unfortunately out of time with your segment. There are a few questions, you know, in the chat. I'm very curious about, you know, how your 20+ years of experience has, you know, inspired you to, you know, innovate beyond many of the other metaverses that we've seen. But you can type those into the chat for your answers. So thank you again very much. If you have energy being so late to continue with us, and we'll need to move on. So again, that was an exciting experience. So our next next presenter, Jim, are you here?
Yes.
Yes, there's Jim Mathewson with Near 8. So you're also creating, you know, more gamified types of experiences for the metaverse. So it would be great to, you know, get your take on where you see the metaverse going. So feel free to either share a presentation or give us your thoughts.
Yes, let me just try to set it up here. Let's see. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'll just leave that up for a minute and sort of give like a brief introduction. But thank you very much for having me, to you and Alex and Laura. And so many great topics are being discussed here that it's hard for me to keep my own presentation in my head, that I have so many different ideas going on right now based on what others have said. But to step back, you know, our company was founded in 2016 originally, sort of like as an immersive online content studio. And we tested content heavily long before Metaverse. And, you know, we had our own spatial environments we were building out, and real world environments and location-based content that we would geotag. And we basically just tested that for, you know, a couple of years, and really got at the core of what I think all metaverse projects that are entertainment or game-based virtual worlds have now, which is sort of this idea that it's like a persistent environment that you're building. And I always come back to using the example of Disney World and stuff like that that's been around forever. But you know, you have the idea of this spatial layout of Main Street in the Magic Kingdom, that where all of these different concepts sort of play in. And once you've been there once, you sort of have it in your mind, and you have this feel for all of these different concepts like princesses and castles and pirates, and they all fit together in a certain way spatially, so that you can discuss it at the water cooler with your friends when you're not there. And I think that that's this idea that really sometimes gets tapped into and sometimes doesn't, because I think that at the end of the Web 2 era, there was a very, you know, real focus on literal experiences, and, you know, basically like a maps-based digital twin of the world that had very literal content, you know, presented to you in that space, and the spatial aspect mirrored the real world. So it was already set up. And then once you had, you know, certain games that came out with more realistic virtual worlds, and, you know, like Fortnite, then people started to shift into this other world where it's like you'll build a world in Unity or Unreal and then define that as your world, or Roblox, which is probably, you know, the earlier, better example, pre-Sandbox and Decentraland. But all of that, I think, you know, I come back to something that Sarah said on, you know, the metaverse side. It has to be fun at a certain point. And if you have something that's too literal, it doesn't really work as an entertainment type project, which is what we're doing, in a storytelling type project. And you have to sort of have an abstract element to it that underpins everything you're telling a story around. And I think that's where, you know, I listed a bunch of, probably was overambitious with all my topics that I would cover here in the description, but, you know, there's a range of interactivity in interactive projects, pre-metaverse and post-metaverse. And then there's sort of a range of abstract versus literal environments that are being created and virtual worlds that are being created. And I think that, you know, that's where we've done a lot of testing on it. And I think that, you know, our project is exciting because we try to tie in average everyday people at the bus stop or on their lunch break and give them sort of a role in the spatial framework that doesn't have to be a literal virtual world that you're in an HMD or, you know, even in a browser, that where their user role is sort of defined using some Web 2, you know, concepts, you know, and, you know, hybrid concepts like filters and lenses. But beyond that, where their role is sort of defined as an NFT in this larger framework. And I'll just sort of start clicking through my slides here so I can stay on track. I think stepping back for what like the value proposition is, I think that there's, you know, all of these real world experiences now that mirror the better metaverses. And, you know, when you think of immersive experiences in real life, anything from all of these great projection shows that are out there, like, you know, Van Gogh and like the many immersive Van Gogh experiences. I think that, you know, certain live events and raves and things that are popular with young people now and that weren't as popular, you know, probably when millennials were coming through. I think that there's just this real appetite for people to go into physical spaces and sort of lose themselves, you know, and that's the opposite. I was talking about this last week too. It's sort of the opposite of the Web 2 era, where it's all based on FOMO and it's all based on, you know, capturing your attention for a split second and conveying some sort of information to you that's, you know, usually personalized and algorithmic. And I think that, you know, when you look at the real world experiences of these, you know, like the Van Gogh show, where you just go and sit on a beanbag, or lots of other projection shows like Artec House in New York, and there's a lot of traveling ones around the country too, or places like Meow Wolf that, you know, is expanding tremendously and has lots of articles written about it. And I think that those environments that are being created that people want to go sort of lose themselves in or become themselves in is sort of the better analogy for what all of these metaverse projects have to offer. And I think that with that, I think that there's a way to sort of connect the two and make it so that when you're sitting in the real world, you can sort of feel like you're a part of this other spatial overlay that is different from actually having to go into Roblox and, like, you know, go into what someone's built there, or to go into a certain store. So I'll just keep flipping through here. Our project, like the nuts and bolts of our project, is that, you know, we have various environments that we've built out originally in WebGL actually, but we now have an app which actually ties it all together and is an abstract sort of maze-based app that has, you know, various locales and sort of ways of tying together real world content into a spatial framework that's digestible. And it also uses, you know, gyroscope and accelerometer, so you can actually, you know, use your phone to move within it. And then beyond that, we want to have, like, we're planning a number of live events, which are sort of live hybrid events, which we'd stream on Twitch and have, you know, roles for people locally, but also roles for people, you know, virtually who are participants and who would own their role as an NFT. And when I say that, like, the main goal for this as a project is to have sort of, you know, springing value to NFTs where, you know, in the play to earn context, you'd actually be playing by, you know, doing filters of yourself and interacting with other people via text, as opposed to actually being in a live gaming environment like Axie Infinity or something like that. So it's trying to make it into more of like a real world role-playing scenario that's tied in with a spatial framework, if that makes sense. And I'm happy to answer any questions offline too, either on LinkedIn or in the chat here afterwards. But and I do have a video I can show if I don't run out of time here. But yeah, I think
about 5 minutes.
Yeah, about 5 minutes. Let me just check my notes here and try to talk for 1 or 2 more minutes first. But yeah, I mean, an analogy would be, you know, sort of something like Dungeons and Dragons, like, and I know that I've even heard of some projects that are trying to do sort of a Dungeons and Dragons type gamified metaverse. That sort of mirrors what, you know, years ago was like an alternate reality game or an ARG. And I think that the limitation, the only limit to something like that is that it's too complex for people to digest on the fly. And that's where I would say that our project and sort of the abstract side of it gets this connection with people that doesn't require them to digest tons of information. So it's much lighter content, and it's much more easily digestible than if you were doing some sort of really elaborate traditional role-playing game, you know, like Dungeons and Dragons or something like that, where if you just join and you haven't been playing the whole time, you don't really know what you're doing. So that, hopefully I covered a few of my topics, but not all of them. But you know, let me just share a very quick sort of video tour of something that we're building out right now. Yeah, so like we built our app in Unity, and we've got a number of different environments that tie in with actual real world panoramas. So all of this is a live app that you can actually use. It's not out there yet, but I'm just going to fast forward a little bit because I'm running out of time. But we've got like a number of different environments that take you through these real world sort of portals and stories that tie in with where you are. So that's some of our art design put together. But I can answer a couple questions here. I think I have 2 or 3 minutes left. So let me see, are there any questions in the chat? Let me see if I can even get the chat up here.
Yeah, if you stop sharing, I think you have, yes. Yeah. Then I had asked a question, which is, you know, it sounds like the platform's almost live, and, you know, when are you planning on launching?
Yeah, it's built, and I think that, you know, one of the things we're looking to add more people and possibly raise some more funding is that it's sort of like, if it's a metaverse, it's sort of like a ship as opposed to like a movie where the movie is made and then it just needs to be played over and over again in the same way. It's more like you're on a ship with like a crew, and you actually need to have the community, you know, not just built once and then be on its own, but it needs to be manned, and it needs to be live to some extent, sort of like the Truman Show, which, you know, is a great movie back in the day. So I think that we've got all the pieces built, but we just need sort of to flesh out our team a little bit more to have it be alive project.
And do you see like all these different kinds of movies in a sense, all playing at the same time? It's kind of like a
Yes.
million screen theater where you
Yes,
have all
yes,
these
it
different
is.
worlds going on.
It is, and but they are all narrative arcs as well, involve the user. And that's where it's important to think of it, because early on in the Web 2 era, when we were building these out, we were trying to do narrative, stories within realistic panos at the time, which we still use sometimes. But that's that quickly becomes Google Maps, and it quickly becomes, if you like McDonald's, you see McDonald's on the corner. If I like Burger King, I see Burger King on the corner. If you like, a particular type of movie, you'll see that one and I'll see this one. It becomes so personalized that it's not really a narrative project anymore. It's more like an information finding project. And that's sort of the danger with using like a real world replica or digital twin, is that it sort of devolves into that sometimes, which is fine.
Well, Jim, that was and that was great. Unfortunately, we've run out of time for your segment, but it was great to get your take on kind of this movie theater view of of the metaverse, and it's awesome to see all the creativity. So thanks for sharing that with us.
Thanks again.
Yeah, we're going to switch gears a bit. Our next segment here is with Neeraj, and he is in Texas, and he's going to be talking to us about a different concept. This one is very much about financial services. So if you take the real world, you put it into the online world, you get a lot of different things that we experience. One of those is working with money. And so Neeraj, if you can share a presentation or take the stage and give us your vision, for what you see the metaverse is going to evolve into, and with your company Lucrisma.
All right, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for the opportunity, Jorden, Alex, Laura, and the entire team. It's just phenomenal. I'm so excited. I speak at a lot of events, but having a metaverse specific event where we get to see all the creativity and the innovation that's been built, it's exciting. So Lucrisma started from a personal episode. I was beginning to teach my kids who are early teenagers about the discipline of financial investment, and I wanted them to understand about Bitcoin and investment in these digital assets. So I started looking around for applications and platforms that would build this discipline into young adults and into even older people, and I could not find anything. I found the traditional the Robinhoods and the and some apps like Greenlight, but explaining decentralization and metaverse and all these concepts to people who have never been in that space was hard. So we looked at Metaverse as a solution to build our financial services company, where we could build all these models that would be immersive and interactive, and the users would be able to play with this and understand. And this is how you connect your MetaMask, and this is how the private keys are stored. So they could really understand how it works. They could not only understand how it works, but also get into the discipline of financial investment, which is a skill that everybody should have. So where are we currently at? I believe we are towards the end of Web 2.0 and the advent of Web 3.0, where we've had, as far as Web 2.0 is concerned, we've had some very successful, fairly established companies that are doing a phenomenal job of selling their stuff, and especially in the financial services world. However, Web 3 came along. Came into its own about 3-4 years ago with the advent of DeFi and now social fi and gamify and all these other fis, and they are they've also, with their innovation, done a phenomenal job. We've had the metaverse experience for a few years, but it wasn't really the metaverse that we are now beginning to see. So it was not decentralized. While you could have your avatars and get that three-dimensional experience, the world was very centralized. So for example, if you had a Minecraft account and you got really good with it, after a few months, when you decided to leave Minecraft because it got addictive, you could not take your points with you. You could not take your any assets that you built with you. Also, in terms of the blockchain and cryptocurrency landscape, unlike 4 or 5 years ago when fintech was predominantly the only use case, in the last 4 or 5 years, the technology has been embraced by a bunch of different use cases, a bunch of different industries. As far as the generations are concerned and the adoption by different generations, we see that true to the stereotype, the younger generations have gravitated more towards crypto, and likewise with Web 3.0 and Metaverse as well. A lot of the older generations find the technology overwhelming, and I'm hoping that Metaverse would change that. But currently, the millennials have about nearly 77%, 76% of the crypto assets of all generations. Gen Z is the fastest growing segment, and the contradiction is the older generations have the money, but they're not really getting the experience or the intuitive aspect to invest in these kind of assets. Like I mentioned, the traditional finance has some well-entrenched leaders like Fidelity, Merrill Lynch, BlackRock, etc., that provide traditional products, but are they're very inefficient in that there is a middleman always, right? So they're not able to give as high returns as the decentralized versions, and they don't really pay much attention to the educational aspect of it, and the jargon, just overwhelming. The DeFi, SocialFi, GamiFi, and all these other paradigms that have emerged have done a phenomenal job of bringing this innovation. They have very impressive TVLs, total value log, but they're still very niche and not very intuitive at the moment. MetaFi is where some traditional finance players like JP Morgan Chase and their Lounge, which I think they spent $200 million to build, they're still experimenting, but this is where I guess the future financial services, just like other businesses, would be fighting with each other for that turf. So what is the problem? The problem is we have this very exciting medium of the metaverse, which it's still very early days and it's poised to grow. A recent study by Goldman Sachs and Citi pegged the market to get to $13 trillion in just under 8 years and 5 billion users. But there's nobody who's providing a comprehensive financial services, a suite of financial services products for this environment. There's nobody who's really working on the education. There's nobody who's really working on bridging people who are not going to be in the metaverse, but would still like to partake in that economy. So while the market is going to grow explosively and a lot of people are going to gravitate to the metaverse, it's also forecasted that a lot of the traditional methods of working would not work anymore. You'll find businesses using a lot of avatars that are powered by AI bots and also human beings to provide that maybe the last mile or the personal experience that's needed, especially in industries like retail and other complex transactions. This is going to give rise to a lot of online communities. This is going to give rise to a lot of creators benefiting from this ecosystem. Some of the enablers of this new world are obviously the avatars. So there's companies that are building those, the devices, the marketplaces, and the virtual world, some of which have already become dominant players like Decentraland, Sandbox, etc. There's also going to be a bunch of these devices that are going to make that experience so immersive and so lifelike that going back to the two-dimensional mobile apps or web apps is going to be a huge step down. So as far as the solution for the financial services is concerned, Lucrisma thought of doing this in a where we do this as MetaFi, as a metaverse first company, but also catering to the customers who are going to be in the web app and mobile app. And we decided not to build a metaverse of our own. So unlike all my previous presenters who were giving these amazing experiences, we don't have any because we're not building any metaverse. What we're building is the infrastructure which will be used by Lucrisma to build all these financial products, which would work on any metaverse. So what we're building is a bidirectional bridge which will connect the metaverses, the different metaverses, and the outside world, and provide our suite of financial products and services. And we'll leverage the intuitive experience of the metaverse, as well as make sure that the web app and the mobile app don't look too different, right? It's not going to be at the same level, but we will make sure that the users who are used to the metaverse experience still get the intuitiveness when they use a mobile app. So our metaverse users would be able to leverage their metaverse assets to take out loans and deposit on both their metaverse assets as well as the real world assets, and vice versa. They'll be able to leverage their real world assets to take out loans and partake in other products inside of the metaverse. We are currently building. We have a roadmap where we would be launching our services in Q3 of this year. This would be inclusive of our token, which will be launched on a few exchanges, and there'll be some kind of an IEO as well. And then we're going to come up with a bunch of different products. Now, this is the important thing. So when we are done with the next couple of years of roadmap, you'll find that our suite of products has there is all the products that you guys are used to in the traditional finance world, right? The deposits, the loans, the mortgages, the ETFs, right? You'll find parallels. You'll find all those products, except that they'll be powered by digital assets. And the Lucrisma version would be, the metaverse version, as well as the mobile app, and you'll be able to get real good education on them, right? This is just one of the products. So to drive my point home, if you wanted to buy that parcel of land in Decentraland and you didn't have the full amount, let's say 100 ETH piece of worth of land, we could give you a loan on that piece of land. We'll give you some terms. Once you select those terms, we will lock that piece of land in a smart contract, which will still allow you to build a building on top of it or whatever you want to build on top of that land. But there will be installments, and as you pay, and once you're fully paid, you then get the smart contract is unlocked and you get full control over it. That is, in a sense, all I had time for. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and take some questions. So Rahul says, is it financial gateway from the metaverse to payment financial companies from traditional and crypto world? no, Rahul, this is, we are not building a new financial rails. We are leveraging some of those existing services. What we are truly building is a unified identity. So Rahul will exist in Decentraland. Rahul will also exist in Sandbox and Axie and in the real world. And we'll be able to stitch Rahul's identity and allow Rahul to take, use his Decentraland land to maybe take out, use that as collateral to take out loan, maybe for an NFT in Axie Infinity. Or if you have an expensive piece of art in your home, you could turn that into an NFT and take loan on that to buy something in Decentraland. So it's bridging the metaverse with other metaverses and the real world.
That's great, Neeraj. And what we can see here is that you're really blurring the lines, right? Because finance is kind of an abstract concept. And so, you can have money in the virtual world, you can have money in the real world, and you can have flows between, both worlds, right? You can use collateralized NFT in the virtual world to buy a real house, right?
Exactly.
Maybe what you made money from. So that was wonderful. Thank you so much. That was a really interesting vision that might be kind of mind-blowing for a lot of the people that are here on this Metaverse roadshow. But this is already happening, right? This is not new, and it has been happening for the last few years. And so, this is not really the future, it's the present, but it's going to become more widespread. So thank you again. Now we're going to move to Michelle Tsing. Michelle is, she is a crypto native and has been really immersed in the entire decentralized world for the last, quite a few years. So Defintasy, which is really at that beginning part, you have decentralized finance and fantasy, is really, as she's going to be talking about, building this super engaging metaverse. So Michelle, it's all yours. Give us your vision and where things are going. Michelle, I don't think we can hear you. Are you on mute?
Hello, I'm Michelle.
Oh, there you are. Hi.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about the topic. I'm an artist myself since I was a child. Since been working with 3D, and I used to design 3D jewelry since 2012, 2013. I also create augmented reality, had like over 250 million impressions, up to 3 million users. The last I checked, which is about a year ago, and then I started building virtual reality and just virtual worlds, but placing NFTs and tokens with it. And I've never ever would dream that, art would intersect with tokens and in the world of decentralization. So I'm here to talk about how to build an engaging metaverse. We've been building metaverses since last year with NFTs, and I'm just going to bring us, just really do that progression. Just really a little bit about the market size. As you know, it is forecasted to be 678 billion. It's big, and you guys can see that for gaming, Axie basically out-earned the entire Binance Smart Chain in about a year. And entertainment and gaming are one of the big segment of metaverses. I think a lot of you know what is NFT, gaming and metaverses. NFT is tied to an asset, a unique asset. It includes everything like collectibles, wearables, fashion, real estate. Digital also becomes things. It's interaction in an immersive environment. It involves economy and it involves communities and DAO, which is really exciting. So in about February of 2021, we created a gallery harmony and balance. Just really wanted underrepresented minorities art to be in one place. And I was a little bit bored of OpenSea and the 2D marketplaces. So one of my ideas to create a 3D world, because I love, of course, 3D assets and playing with 3D. Some of the artists basically were commissioned as a result of this, and the Harmony and Balance press went all around the world. Korea Times, it was in the UK. People really love the idea of empowerment, of putting everyone together in one place where people can come and visit. And in the metaverse, as you know, it has spoken word, so there's opportunities for storytelling. And then I start doing global festival. Really missed Coachella, of course, during hibernation, during COVID. So really wanted to create music festivals, right? So every Saturday we would have a concert in the metaverse. And July 4th was actually spent it in the metaverse in a football stadium, but this is just really nice. But there are some problems with the metaverse, right? So, when a lot of the users come in, they're like, what am I supposed to do? And this is way before Zuck basically announced the meta name change. So we were basically pulling people into the metaverse, training them how to walk and and run and fly. A lot of people were like, what am I supposed to do? How come my friends can come in with me, right? There's only 100 people who come in, for instance. So for example, when Fortnite had their Marshmallow concert, they had to create 100,000 instances. A lot of the metaverse today is centralized. For example, when I had my NFT art exhibition, the server was down and I had no control of it. But luckily I created a whole decentralized metaverse for myself as an artist. And I was able to show my own personal decentralized metaverse instead. There's also a lack of inclusivity, right? So how many people could afford to buy land? How many women could afford to buy virtual land? How many African Americans could buy virtual land? How many Asian Americans could buy virtual land, right? Or, so those are some of the items that I think we should think about when we are creating this world, so that it doesn't really reflect the bad side of society today. And so then came kind of because of all these questions that the users had, decided to actually create a metaverse gaming company, and that's how Defintasy is born. I wanted to make it interaction, I want to make it fun. I myself have spent 2 happy birthdays or 2 birthdays in the metaverse where all the avatars were singing with us. And like over 15 or 18 music festivals, had kind of spent a lot of time visiting virtual land with my friends, and creating these avatars that really represent, or an extension of us. So this is I make this is Meta Woman. It's 3D. It has the capability of adding voice and AI in it. I think in the future, avatars or digital identity is going to be really important. And I like decentralized digital identity. It's still a hard problem to solve. And I'm actually on one of the advisor of a DID startup program. So I'm looking forward to more progress on that part of that. So the question is, how do we make metaverse fun, right? So I like to incorporate gaming. I like it to be gamified. Me as a founder, as a co-founder, and as a user and an enthusiast of metaverse and gaming, and and I love games. I want, and as an artist as well, I like to own or co-own the things that I make. I want people to be involved so that I can co-create. I want, the shoe that I make to be interoperable onto other platform. And if I don't want to, I still want a little bit of, being anonymous. I want to belong in different groups. I like to brag about, my shoes, or the bag that I made, or, the fact that I won something. I love that experiences of being somewhere, being in an immersive environment with my friends. And I think it's going to be a multiverse. I think we're going to have portals. I don't think that one company will control everything, just like a few other Web2 companies did, right?
Hi, Michelle. Is there a presentation mode for your slides?
Yeah, I kind of
like to do it like that. Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah, okay. And then I want to talk about finance, right? I think games and metaverses become financial. So if it's decentralized and if it involves tokens, then we could be creative in building something that we distribute or create, or allow people to earn wealth in different ways. So, we can use the magic, like the money legals of DeFi, to help players earn money, and have some kind of timestamp so that their time is not wasted playing a game. After they finish playing a game, they can basically sell the assets or rent it out, or so. So I think that financial part of gaming and metaverse is going to be super, super important. I think a lot of you have spoken about the metaverse ecosystem, so I'm going to skip that.
Enjoy the metaverse. I've learned so much about NFTs, and the music's great.
Yes,
meet people without travel.
Yeah, so this is just a testimony that we had when we did another DJ doing. This is our July 4th one, so people were having fun and they're learning about NFTs and tokens as a result of these events. Let me know if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, there's one question that I see. It's did you create the cookie avatar?
You mean the lady?
I'm not sure. It's KUKI. I'm not sure.
I did.
That's from Aditya.
Yeah.
This one you created.
Yeah, this one I created, and I sculpted it, and I wanted, freckles on an Asian American with light gray hair, but like different color eyes, and I made. Yeah, I did not create that one. I make avatars for fun. So if you go to I'm Big Goddesses on OpenSea. If you go to my OpenSea account, you'll see a number of meta women. And I actually created avatars for them for some of my personal NFTs. Some of my personal avatars for my personal metaverse virtual worlds. So you can kind of check it out. I'm also a collector, NFT collector. I just wanted to support the artist in the industry and the ecosystem.
And Michelle, do you see that with Defintasy, are you focused on both the financial as well as the metaverse creation side, or what do you see the platform providing? Is it a range of things?
Correct. We are a little bit pivoting. We are going to include the financial side as well. And we are going to provide games, and different experiences. We partner with a Woman at NFT. We created a virtual museum with them. We also partner with a celebrity called Damon Sharp. He's going to perform at EDC in May. And I think he also performed last year in October. If you look at Damon Sharp Music Club or Tokyo Hearts on OpenSea, you'll find these hearts that beat to his music. So we created those. We're gonna host a concert in the metaverse. You know, we custom create every single environment. You know, so as an artist, and you know, working with our chief creative officer, that has been a lot of fun, just collaborating with him, and you know, talking about what we want, what our vision is, and he's and it's been like perfect. You know, the metaverse that he created for the concert is really awesome. I
And
cannot.
can you enter by phone and by PC? What's the how does anybody like get entry to your metaverse?
You can enter it with on the web, on the Oculus, or on your phone. Yeah,
Okay.
we make some of the asset really light so that people can enter it on the phone. For the most part, people have better user experience if you enter it on the web.
Yeah, sure. On the PC, right? Yeah, you got more power. It's hard to have the same experience because the processor's not the GPU and the processor is not quite the same. Well, Michelle, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing with us that very decentralized, very inclusive and diverse vision for what you see the metaverse can become and how you're spearheading, you know, that drive. Unfortunately, we're out of time with your segment, but you know, that I'm sure was really enlightening for a lot of people. You know, like with all things, we have one last presentation, and this one's with Aditya, and he has you can see him saying that he's doing something called YOLOgram with branded apparel and unlock the stylist in use. So this clearly has something to do with fashion and something to do with potentially online shopping. It'd be great to get your vision, Aditya, and you know where you see the metaverse going.
Thank you for that. Thank you for having me, Alex, Jorden, and Laura. I mean, I really appreciate it. I know I'm a late entry into this cohort. I'm really honored to be amongst all the super creative entrepreneurs out here. And basically, we're going through a kind of a renaissance in terms of what our naming is. We used to be called Spatial Digital Social. We still are called Spatial Digital Social. We're incorporated in California, but a lot of us confuse Spatial Digital for Spatial, the app, which is a VR chat app. So, you know, we're focusing more on YOLOgram, which is a play on the word hologram. And basically what we focus on is fun styling with branded apparel. So we focus on styling digital humans with branded apparel. And the idea is that we want to unlock the stylist in every single person out there. So, you know, a lot of people play with styling apps. Usually it's, you know, young teenagers who like to mix and match. And a lot of these games are outside of commerce. These are just fantasy clothing, which is out there. And we thought that it's important that we not just blend the world of e-commerce and gaming, but also introduce a couple of new paradigms to the whole world of e-commerce. Can you see my screen? Because I'm trying to, okay. So I think it's a bit slow.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yeah. So, you know, if you look at are you able to see the screen that says problem?
Yes, problem 2D e-commerce today.
So if you have a look at the problem with 2D e-commerce today, if you look at this photo shoot of this beautiful model in an action shoot, the way this photograph is captured is kind of static. It's impersonal, right? So it just stays this way, and that's all you can do with it. It's not really an immersive experience. It's not really a playable experience. And a lot of this gets solved with regular 3D. So, you know, you bring 3D fashion into it, and the problem gets solved. You can see it. You can see texture in more detail. You can see it in your space. But that's not really what we think is the bigger problem we're trying to solve. If you look at most apps or most tech companies out there which are facing brands, they're focusing on the biggest problems that brands have. That's taking care of sales, loyalty, and new revenue. And the problem with, the typical tools out there in digital marketing and not the spatial digital world is that if you try to move up in trying to get more sales, either by deep discounting or by paying per click, it's a zero-sum game because you're kind of outbidding each other, and you're showing up on a search list, and you're not really adding any value. There's no connect that you're seeing. And in terms of loyalty and the ways people are trying to buy loyalty, consumers are really getting fed up. I mean, people are tired of receiving the same emails and text messages. That doesn't buy loyalty anymore. And even though people are, brands are out there in newer modes of trying to generate revenue by selling JPEGs, we don't believe that's the right way to approach, new revenue. So what we basically thought was, no one's putting the consumer in the center. And, we thought that if you look at, two of the new kind of consumers today, if I'm talking about millennials and Gen Z, they look at clothing in a very different way. They put themselves in the center of it. So, if you look at, for example, this is a video game-like environment where the consumer themselves is like a video game avatar, and they've put branded clothing on themselves. It really doesn't matter if they look like celebrities, but if you look at the kind of the stance that this person has, they're really coming across as an influencer within their circles, and that's what really matters to them. So, we wanted to make sure that we're mapping the consumer's view and the consumer's needs. And we really felt that the consumer today, the young consumer today, wants to engage experientially with the brand. They don't just want to, buy and that's it. They want to be a part of the brand. They want the brand to be a part of their story. So they want to create value-added content with this brand. And they want to be able to influence with branded content into their own worlds. So this is how we're really looking at, taking engagement to the next level, mapping it to sales, taking creativity, the option to create, giving the consumer the option to create content. And that becomes the tool that brings them to keep coming back, to keep creating content. And of course, there are new values in which NFTs can be brought in, and we don't think it's the JPEG way of doing it. So we really think that there's a consulting service of ours of a digital NFT that can come in here. So we think it's a good thing because we feel consumers who are engaged and empowered to create branded content really influence brand advocacy, and this is really what most brands want. Brands really want that. It's a flip. Earlier, it was all about content to commerce. Now, what we're trying to do is we're actually trying to change the paradigm by saying, hey, can your consumers create content? And that's content of the next level because each one of them become brand influencers, they become brand advocates. So what is it that we're really doing? We're talking about offering these three pillars, which is style, share, and earn. And what we're trying to say is styling in terms of creating a fun and playable environment for the consumer, sharing with something what we call playful immersive content, and earning in terms of giving the consumer the opportunity to earn either with whatever it is that they mint or whatever it is that they co-create with the brand. So this is basically what we're trying to bring, and what we're trying to bring into the story is to talk about, excuse me, I'm going to get rid of this little Zoom thing. Talk about introducing the concept of fun styling. So can we actually bring styling in as a paradigm and make it what we call playable commerce? So I know Snapchat has tried this, and Snapchat has a very different view of doing this because they like to do body tracking where you track yourself and you're far away from the phone, but we don't think that's the right way to do fun styling. Sorry, there's a slight delay in my browser. So when we talk about playable commerce, what we're really talking about is creating a super fun experience. And when we're talking about fun experience, we're really talking about bringing the whole concept of game design into the app. So what we're building is not a skin or a layer above or a web AR that connects to a 3D object. we're really talking about a playable game out there, which is even gives the concept of enthusiasm even before the goal is reached. We're talking about creating an intuitive, engaging platform. And what we really mean is that each step that happens, the next step is very intuitive. There's no distraction. And it's a very responsive app that we're creating. So there's no friction, there's no waiting for the next step. And this is really what we're talking about. So, the girl has it's an app, it's an Android and an iOS app that we're going to be releasing. And brands which are going to participate on our app can either participate as a SaaS or they can participate in campaigns. And if we look at the Patagonia clothing right now, so there's a blue and gray jacket, which is styled to gray pants, and there's a green and brown jacket styled to gray pants. So what this really does is allows the girl to mix and match. So you can have different kinds of clothing. So it unlocks the stylist within the consumer. Of course, you can see all the 3D textures, felt, wool, you can see it in your space, you can see it in 3D, but that's not what we're focusing on. What we're really focusing is on the mix and match styling. Similarly, we're also talking about another tool that we're going to bring in, which is also going to be another kind of a game changer or a paradigm shift into commerce. And we think this is called immersive social. And what we're really going to be empowering the consumer with is playful content. And what does this really mean? We're talking about, again, a lot of game economics and game design coming in. So we want to make sure that the game that we're building, this styling game, is kind of balancing between not being too tough, not too easy, because we've seen that if it's too easy, it gets boring. If it's too tough, it causes anxiety and people put things away. It has playful exploration in it. So there's going to be a lot of surprises, Easter eggs. Again, no distraction, but at the same time, a lot of new things which are going to keep coming up, which make the experience different every time you come in. And of course, it's going to be tied into its own private social network. So there's going to be rewards and levels. So you're going to have points, you're going to have social bragging available. And of course, there's going to be unlocked experiences. So, if a brand really wants that someone's been trying on a lot of clothing, we should be able to unlock a certain wearable to them or unlock a certain kind of background to them. That's going to be available, to those users who interact more with it. So we're really bringing engagement and rewarding higher engagement. So this is really what we're doing. When we're talking about immersive social, we're actually not just talking about bringing the clothing into your room or bringing the 3D into you, but taking you into it as well. So we're really talking about direct to avatar. So, you create an avatar of yourself and you start styling yourself with it. So, on the left, we've got these 2 jackets by Patagonia, which typically show up on a 2D view. You see it in 3D and then you see it on yourself. So you see, the green jacket with green pants and you see the blue jacket with green pants. And, you can share this, and you can not just share this, you can share this in different kinds of, social contexts out there. So, we talk about sharing in 3D. So there are multiple 3D scenes that we have built into the app. So that it could be a store, it could be any kind of experience that you've built. Either it could be a user-generated 3D scene, or it could be a 3D scene that the brand is pushing. There could be 360-degree images, which could be 360-degree images, which is again an HDRI pipeline that we built in. And of course, you can style yourself in AR and record it as as a playful content, send it as a greeting, share it on 2D. Share it on TikTok, Instagram. So it's really not waiting for the metaverse to happen. It's right now. So, this is our protagonist. His name is Jack. And, what we've really tried to do is show some of the use cases that Jack can do playing around with content. So I'm just going to play a quick video here. Thank you for bearing with that.
Yes, that was great, Aditya.
Yeah.
So I think this kind of brings us to the end of the roadshow for today. So thank you for leaving us with that, Aditya. That's I think that was a really good place to leave us, because I think for everybody, one of the key takeaways that I'd like you to all just think about this soundbite, which is that, when we went from like the offline world to the web, and then we went from web to mobile, and now we're going from 2D to 3D, the rules change, right? The rules change every time. And so if you think you can take everything that you've already done and you can just bring it into the new medium, it proves that you can't do that, right? There's always a new set of winners. There's a new set of companies that become native to that new era, and they transform the way we interact with each other and with society. So that's going to happen again. And so, there's some of these companies that are feeling that they can take what they've already got and they can move into the metaverse and take them with us. Chances are they're probably wrong. There's going to be a whole new set of companies that are going to be native to this new world, and they're going to be bringing ideas that we've never really experienced before, and we're going to start doing things in a different way. So that's the last thought that I wanted to leave you with. And we are going to be having more roadshows. This was number 1. Number 2 is going to be coming up soon, so stay tuned for more excitement in the metaverse. And thanks to our co-hosts and all of our speakers, and thank you, for joining us on the journey today.
Oh, thank you, Jordan. Yeah, it's a wonderful presentation, and then thank you for all speakers and participants. I have an announcements, and then before that, toss over to Laura to wrap up. Actually, for our next event, we are preparing next show in Metaverse. So I'm contacting several Metaverse meeting platform, and hopefully that we will meet through your avatars in next show. That's what I'm planning, and with Laura. Okay, so as I told you at the beginning, that in case that you have additional questions, we can have an optional like a Q&A session, and then you can stay here or you can leave now. So is Laura there?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's your turn, and then you can you can have a moderate optional Q&A session, and you can wrap up, and then you can announce fantastic things, because we keep going on our event, right?
Frankly, the event was exciting. I can only thank you, Alex and Jordan, for putting together an incredible panel of innovators. We have learned a lot, and I think that's exactly what the TiiQu network should be, bringing together innovation and make it available to everyone, because the point is that knowledge sharing is so key to push innovation and make it spreading faster and efficiently. So thank you very much to the innovators who participated to this first roadshow. I sincerely love the idea to have many others and possibly in the metaverse. And thanks again, Alex and Jordan. And see to you again the next metaverse or the next roadshow or the next TiiQu talks. Thank you very much to everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Thank you.
Not sure if there is any other question, or Alex, did you want to wait for?
Yeah, it's up to all audience, right? Because if they want, then you have a still do your job, right? Otherwise, we can let up.
We do have a question from Irvin.
Oh, is
what
that
is the
about
blockchain ventures? That's the question for you, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, there's a question for me. We're a venture studio, actually. And so we spin up, different companies and experiments. And we've been doing a lot with the metaverse, with NFTs recently. And so we're going to have some announcements coming up too. And we'll talk more about that in future episodes. But yeah, we're very involved in this ecosystem as well, and looking forward to sharing.
Well, I do have an announcement. Yes, we are starting a tribe, a Metaverse tribe. So please join. Just go to TiiQu.com tribes, that you will find the Metaverse tribe. And there we hope to put together very relevant stuff. And most importantly, gather you all innovators in a unique place. That would be fantastic. So, thank you, Venture Studio. Okay, spin up without like a lab.
I think that I remember one question actually that was not relevant to the speakers of today, but actually it might be relevant to me because I'm a New York State attorney. I'm also the technology innovator, but also the IP lawyer because I major in law school in the IP law. So there was someone asked about what is the like a lot of the IP laws with like a metaverse. Actually, it definitely relate to like a NFT is one area. Is like what kind of like a right you have in the NFT, and then you should be careful about what the contract right and the contract obligations through the like smart contract and something like that. There are many like legal issues still should be resolved. So if you contact me, then I can share my idea. Because if I tell something in the public, because I'm a lawyer, so it can be bound. I think that Mr. was also a lawyer, so, because we are very careful about in the public talk about something in the legal matters. But if you contact me personally, I can share my idea. Yeah.
Well, that was great, and we'll be in touch and look forward to future episodes. So thank you.
Okay.
I guess that we can wrap it up. Alex, Jordan, are you okay?
Yeah.
Very good.
For me.
So thank you very much again to everyone, and see you next Metaverse. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank
Everyone.
you. Yeah, happy Metaverse.
Bye.
Thanks again.